Hello, everyone. Today we're going to take a look at the Cy Young frontrunners in each the AL and the NL as we're a quarter way through the season. So first we'll start off with the AL. These are sorted by expected ERA, which I usually use. It's not always the best because sometimes it is better to look at how they're actually performing, but that comes more in handy later in the season. But when it's early and the player doesn't have a full set of results yet, a lot of times it's easier to look at their expected stats. So Nestor has a 2.21 expected ERA, which before yesterday or the day before was even in the low ones. He has been doing absolutely fantastic this season. Kind of like how Ranger Suarez last season. He was in the bullpen for a while. There wasn't too much expected of him, and then he has a breakout season as a starter. So even though his expected ERA is 2.21, his actual ERA is a fantastic 1.80, though there are actually two guys within his own league with a lower ERA than that. His expected FIP is a bit higher at 2.70, and his actual FIP at 2.56. Still fantastic numbers. If he could keep that FIP around there throughout the whole season, he will end up very happy. His K per 9 is 11.2, definitely very strong, what you'd like to see. And his 3-1 loss record is held up by a strong Yankees lineup, but also you'd like to see him have a few more wins potentially in his 8 starts. He has 1.3 WAR, which WAR isn't necessarily the best metric for a pitcher, but it's still good to have it as a general guideline. And he does have the fewest innings per start on here with 5.5, so that could be a reason his wins aren't a bit higher, even though he's pitching fantastic. And that could also come with his just stamina being a reliever previously. Next we have Dylan Cease with his 2.22 expected ERA, just slightly higher than Nestor's, though his actual ERA is a 3.09. With how he's pitching, though, that should come down a bit. He's looking great in all his starts. And his 2.6 expected FIP is a decent amount higher than his actual FIP of 2.16, meaning, and he is pitching in front of a White Sox defense that is a bit iffy sometimes, especially with their amount of errors that they have. His K per 9 is an extremely high, but likely unsustainable 13.8, though if he could sustain anything near that, that should fare well for him and his FIP throughout the season. He has 4 wins and 1 loss. Again, not really much to say about that. 1.4 WAR, and like Nestor, 5.5 innings per start. That would ideally increase a little bit because he's pitching so well, so you want to get more production out of him. Next, we have Verlander, who still in his late 30s is still pitching like one of the best guys in the league. It doesn't really make sense. He and Scherzer are anomalies, but he has a 2.5 expected ERA with a whopping 1.22 ERA. Absolutely insane, but good for him for coming back after Tommy John and just tearing it up. He has a 3.2 expected FIP and a 2.78 FIP. His K per 9, 8.5. Nothing really more expected from that. His very solid win-loss record of 6.1 is behind a very strong Astros lineup, and he's going quite deep into games with his 6.5 innings per start, so he is in a decent amount of control of his wins and losses. Obviously, you cannot account for offense. If his team doesn't show up, then you can't do anything about it, but they are showing up, and he's staying in the game long enough that he can help truly determine the outcome, and he has a 1.5 WAR. Manoah, who was a rookie last year for the Blue Jays, this season, he has a 2.5% expected ERA, and again, just like Verlander, an absolutely amazing 1.62 ERA, even though it's still 20 points above Verlander. It's crazy to think about. He has a 3.65 FIP and a 3.65 expected FIP and a 2.93 actual FIP. So his expected FIP is showing that maybe the defense is helping him out a little bit, but his actual FIP shows he is doing perfectly fine. So hopefully it stays below 3. That would be really good for him this season. He has 7.7 strikeout per 9, and his win-loss record is 5.1. And throughout his entire career, the Jays are about 22-5, I believe, 23-5 in his 28 starts in his career. Not his win-loss record, but like the actual outcomes of the games. They perform extraordinarily well when Manoah is on the mound. He gives them deep pitching. He gives them deep and strong pitching, and the lineup shows up when he's pitching. 1.2 WAR with a 6.25 innings per start. And then we have Gossman, the fifth one in the AL, with a 2.69 expected ERA with a 2.52 ERA. So his are the closest on this list between expected and actual. And again, even though they are close, the 2.52 and the 2.69 are fantastic numbers you would love to see throughout the rest of the season. He has a 2.3 FIP and a whopping 1.25 actual FIP compared to his 230 expected. This is due to him only giving up his first home run of the season 4 days ago and not walking anyone for the first entire month of the season. So he went a month without a walk and a month and a half without a home run. Crazy. Giving him only a 2% home run to fly ball rate. Best in the league among qualified pitchers. Actually, no. There's one pitcher that has better than that, Perez of the Rangers. But he is second, and if he can keep that low home run up, he should have fantastic results throughout the season. That extremely low home run rate is accompanied by a 10.3 strikeout rate. So both of those come together to make a fantastic FIP. His win-loss is 3-3. He has not been as lucky as Manoah has been with lineup support, even though he's still pitching very well, and he is certainly not the reason for their losses. He has 2.4 WAR, which is the highest among the pitchers, though again, pitching WAR is not always the best metric. And he has 6.25 innings per start, just like Manoah. Moving on to the NL, we have Musgrove at the top with the lowest expected ERA, with a 2.56, though a 1.9 actual ERA. He's continuing his fantastic season in San Diego last year, where he had about a 3 ERA after being about a 4 ERA career pitcher. Hopefully, staying in San Diego, his hometown, he can maintain this and turn himself into a true top 1 or 2 pitcher. He has a 305 expected FIP with a 277 actual FIP. Obviously, those are a decent amount higher than his actual ERA, but they should balance out throughout the season, and he should still stay quite strong. 8.8 strikeout rate with a 5-0 win-loss record. He's had fantastic run support from the Padres, who are going strong this season despite a lot of their weird injuries. Hopefully they can keep this up and give Musgrove solid support throughout the season. 1.4 WAR with a 6.5, a strong 6.5 innings per start. Again, tied for the highest on this list. Next, we have Rodon, who took a 2-year deal to go to San Francisco this season. He has a 2.59 expected with a 3.43, which is a bit high, though really still nothing to worry about, ERA, and a 2.92 expected FIP with a 2.11 FIP. So his FIP is a pretty solid amount lower than his ERA, which a lot of times that is the reverse. You normally see FIP a bit higher than the ERA, but his ERA should come down as he gets more comfortable and just carries through the season. 12.5 strikeout rate is just what you want to see. Maybe that'll come down a bit. Probably should, but for now, good for him. And a 4-3 record. Hopefully. Anyway, he has a 1.5 WAR and 5.5 innings per start. That innings per start ideally would come up a bit, though he obviously has had a lot of injuries in his career, so no one's discounting him if his innings per start stays around the entire season. There's really nothing wrong with that with him. Pablo Lopez has a 2.65 expected ERA with a very, very solid 1.57 ERA. That was significantly below 1 for around the first month of the season. He has a 2.90 expected FIP with a 2.29 actual FIP. All 4 of those numbers are fantastic. Maintaining them in a already very strong Marlins rotation would really put them over the top. It helps solidify them as one of the best rotations in the league, which I think they're well on their way to doing. They have a 9.4 strikeout rate with a 4-1 record and a very faulty Marlins lineup, and 1.5 WAR with only 5.75 innings per start, with which his productivity you'd like to have to go up a little bit. Next, Michaelis with a 2.75 expected ERA and 1.68 ERA. I never hear anyone really talking about him this season, but he's been fantastic, and he certainly should be talked about. He has a 3.67 expected FIP with a 2.83 actual FIP, and a seemingly low 6.7 strikeout rate, but with the numbers he's putting up, that hasn't been an issue so far. He has a 3-2 record and a 1.1 WAR with 6 innings per start, so quite solid. And finally, Alcantara, with a 2.86 ERA, expected ERA and a 2.49 ERA. These stats are before today's game where he went 9 innings. So obviously all these would lower a bit, but still generally That's where he's at. Though his FIP is really not looking great, 3.98 with a 3.88. So this could mean that his ERA will come up a bit throughout the season, or hopefully his FIP will end up coming down to accompany his ERA. He has a 7.5 strikeout per nine and a 3-2 win-loss record, just like Michael is above him. And though he only has 0.6 WAR, but again, with his 9-inning outing today, that probably should come up a decent amount. And 6.5 innings per start, again, top of this list, exactly what you want to see from someone like him. Alcantara can definitely be a workhorse, and he can put up very strong numbers throughout the entire season. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list of the Cy Young candidates. These are just some of the top guys right now by expected ERA, and it's just stats as well. Thank you.